another episode of Let's Just Talk with Kristin McIntosh, the podcast where we celebrate dreamers, doers, and believers chasing their purpose. Today's guest is someone who's taking one of the biggest leaps you can ever imagine, at least in my book. Johnathan Bonner, a congressional candidate for Georgia's 13th district, is stepping out from the sidelines and into leadership. We'll talk about the calling behind his campaign, how service continues to shape his purpose, and what it really means to lead with courage in today's world. If you've ever felt a pull towards something bigger, even if it scared you, this conversation is for you.
I am a single father, or a proud single father, to a 9-year-old boy. His name's Aiden. I am a caretaker to a disabled vet. That is my father. Mm-hmm. My mother was a federal worker for over 35 years. She recently retired due to some policies, as well as my sister is a teacher at a Title I school. So I feel like taking this jump to run for Congress has been a major jump, something that if you told me 5 years ago, I would probably laugh at you. But the way the world works and how I care so much for people, I could no longer kind of step back and really feel like I'm doing something. So I want to change the world. I want to change the mindset of how people feel about the government and regain trust. And I want people to be more knowledgeable. I'm not saying to be some crazy Einstein type person that knows government, but you should know what goes on in your community and how that can affect you and how you could even be a part of the government, not being Republican or Democrat, but just independent of someone who wants change for their life and their community. So I'm a big pusher for that. I always tell people like, oh, I don't want to do government. I want you to do government, but I want you to do government so you want to change in your life and help people and understand what's happening and why it's happening in your neighborhood or your community or towns and things like that. So that's my thing.
I'm happy that you mentioned just the education behind knowing what part you can play in a role like voting.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think this episode is going to be a very informative one today, Johnathan. And I'm just thanking you in advance for educating myself and the listeners on the importance of getting involved.
Yep.
So like every story that you see on television, we have to do a little bit of a background dig into the character. Okay. So Johnathan, can you tell us a little bit about parents?
Yeah, both my parents were in the military. But with that being said, they raised me to be one very independent, very take action type of oriented person. But with that, I mean, playing sports growing up my life from football to soccer to basketball and things like that made me competitive and really kind of reach many people and talk to many people and things like that. Growing up, I lived in Fayette County, Georgia, which is a weird area because it's a rich area on one side and then there was a poor side on the county ways. So I think growing up, I've had really rich friends. I've had really poor friends. I've had Democratic friends. I've had Republican friends. I never saw a difference amongst, the only thing was money. It was, we all want the same thing. We all have the same needs. It shouldn't be a division. And I am a big pusher to have more of these open conversations because once you hear Republican or I'm a Republican or I'm a Democrat, people tune you out because if it's not something they want, they feel they just push you out. So
or shut down the idea of the change that both individuals probably are trying to contribute to. Yeah, it's a very intimidating subject.
I always tell people whenever they ask me like, are you Republican or Democrat? I say, I care about you because I do. At the end of the day, I'm running to help everyone, not just a certain political party. I'm here to help everyone. So I want that narrative of, oh, he's a Democrat. Yeah, but I care about you regardless of political affiliation, age, gender, everything. I want to help you. I care about you. And I want people to feel if they saw me out in public, they could stop, talk to me and say, hey, what's going on? I need help. I want to help you.
Yeah.
So that's the goal.
That is very admirable, Johnathan. Was this something that you went to school for? No.
It's funny. I went to Georgia Military College for a little bit, and then I went to school out in California. I was going to be a marine biologist, and then I realized, hey, they don't make a lot of money, and but it's a beautiful, I love animals and things like that. I'm a big believer of keeping our climate fixed as well as preserving our national parks and things like that. But to be honest with you, no, I tell people I had no mindset to go into politics. I said, hey, I'm going to live my best life, get my family right. And then I realized as you get older, as we all do, you start to see these policies really affect my family as well as my friends and community. To be honest, I mean, my father being a veteran and he's on Social Security and Medicare, those getting cut affects his life. My mom being a federal worker, seeing her have to retire early and then seeing her friends retire early because they're pushing them out. I have friends that work at the VA and they're saying, hey, they're forcing us to come in. They're making us pay not even at the building. You have to park at a church and pay $75 a month. And I have to walk 10 minutes to go to the VA, but they're making us come 5 days a week. It's kind of forcing them to either quit or retire and things like that. And then my sister working at a Title I school, that's funding it. And then even my son, people don't realize it's much more that happens. So when these schools don't have funding, even though they get it from the state, they don't have that extra money to get more resources. So, hey, you guys have a lot more kids than the average school that has money and things like that. It's pretty much instead of a classroom of 15 to 20, it's a classroom of 30 to 35. I don't know if you know anything about watching that many kids because my sister teaches first grade. It's a lot. And it's a lot to connect to all those kids in a certain amount of time period. So them not having the resources to get another teacher aide or somewhere where it's like, hey, can we get school funding for schools and for lunches and things like that? It affects them so much that it's unfair. They don't do anything wrong and they're educating our future. And it needs to change. And I hate to see that. And I hate people to be helpless. And I can't just sit back and just let them, how would you say, fail and suffer. So that's my spill a little bit. I'm very big on helping people. That's what I want.
I can tell that you have a lot of empathy. I think that is something that's going to make you a very great member of the Congressman Party. I don't know if I'm being politically correct saying that, no pun intended. But I think anyone that leads with empathy definitely has my vote. I can tell a story before it's even told. Your father, your mom, your sister, your son. You have a reason for running, which tells me that you're dedicated to helping those that look just like your father, your mom, your son, and your sister. Can you tell me a little bit about what running for Congress looks like for Johnathan?
It pretty much puts my family in the spotlight of showing what the American family has been dealing with, as well as just a different age. Let's be honest. Most politicians you see are older and things like that. We don't have politicians that are younger and even young Black men and things like that. I always tell people 2% of Congress comes from the working class. What's that mean? Pretty much they've never dealt with paycheck to paycheck. They've never had to say, hey, I can't go to the doctor because I can't afford this procedure or dentist and things like that. Let's say for even apartments and things like that. Why is my rent going up every year, but my money isn't? That doesn't make sense to me. Groceries, gas, things like that. We are often always forgotten by these people making these bills, these policies that affect our day-to-day life, but they never will affect them. And that needs to be changed. Someone that doesn't know anything about me, my community and things like that, they shouldn't represent us. We should have someone that actually represents us, that actually cares for us and is in the community and not during election time, but all year round and things like that. So that narrative needs to change. We need to have more people like us in there making the decisions that help us, not just the wealthy 1% and things like that.
Running for Congress is a really bold move. Can you tell me what are some top values you're hoping to bring to the 13th district through your leadership?
So my big platform is taxing the rich. People always ask like, okay, what does that mean? Once you tax the rich, I'm not saying tax them 100% and things like that, but 1 to 3%, that basically affects our lives tremendously because these are billionaires. These are big corporations that make billions of dollars. What's that mean? Affordable healthcare. That's much cheaper for us. For Social Security and Medicare, that means putting more into our public education and funding things. That means, hey, Atlanta traffic, why is it so bad? It's congested. Hey, we can really invest that taxpayer money from them to go into infrastructure like highways, metros, expanding MARTA and things like that. I know it gets a little more complicated than that. Stock trading in Congress. That's a big thing. People in Congress, they stock trade and they make more money. And that doesn't make any sense in my eyes because you shouldn't be making money in Congress because you're only there to serve the people and things like that. So I want to stop that. I want to ban that regardless if it's Democrat or Republican. People need to stop that. No more stock trading in Congress. Another thing in my eyes is pretty much funding education, public education. We should never defund the public education. That means public schools and things like that. And they always push for private schools. Private schools are expensive. Those are like $1,000 a month. People barely have enough to save in their savings, let alone pay their homes and things like that. So I understand education is important, but it should be free and accessible to all. And then if you have enough money, go to private school. But we shouldn't be forcing people that are already struggling to go to school or to pay for school because we pay for college. I know we have a lot of friends that are basically in debt in college. Why? That doesn't make sense. So
just in or out?
Out, in and out. I mean, it goes both ways. And honestly, bringing jobs back to our economy for the U.S. I know we always say we go to school and things like that for a better education to make more money and things like that. We don't make more money because a lot of these big corporations source out. We need to start forcing them to come back in, invest into our communities and actually help. So that's a few. I really want to start to change the narrative of the government works for the wealthy and works for us.
The mission, people over politics. Your campaign really emphasizes people over politics. What does that mean to you? And why is that so important right now?
We need to have that change where people understand that the government works for them, not the wealthy, not the 1%, not the big corporations. So many times we get tax bailouts from these banks as well as these big corporations and stuff like that. What are they doing for us? What are they really doing for us other than just get our tax dollars, get bailed out, still make profit year after year, making more and more while we still struggle? That doesn't add up in my eyes. What I mean by that is pushing for people, pushing for the working class. The top 1% is 1.8 million. People think, oh, that's a lot of people. There's 347 million people in the US. So when you hear that discrepancy of, hey, if we just tax those few million people, they're not working paycheck to paycheck. They're not going to feel that pain. They're not going to say, oh, I can't afford to buy my yacht and things like that. They're going to still go on with life. We need to have that money to go for the people. We need the people to feel included because there's much more of us than the 1% and things like that. So we need to work for them instead of the wealth.
Anytime someone steps into a bigger purpose, fear and self-doubt come knocking, right? How have you personally handled moments of fear throughout this journey?
I pray. I'm a big like praying man. I fear God. That's the only thing I fear. But there's moments of me being scared and I pray and I say, God, like, okay, I believe in you. I trust you and things like that. And even when I decided to really make this big jump to run for Congress, I'm not a big Bible quote, hey, this is this chapter and things like that. But there was one where I saw out of nowhere and it was on TikTok and it came and was called Isaiah 6:8. And it says, and I heard the voice of God and he said, whom shall I send for us? And then I said, here am I, send me. And I felt like he was talking to me in that moment where it resonated such a fire that it was like, you need to do this. You need to really do this. You need to lead my people. And so it's weird moments where I feel like God, my ancestors, my angels, and things like that talk to me. My opponent, for instance, is David Scott. He's the incumbent. He's a 79-year-old man. He's been there for many years. But with that being said, he started his campaign in 2001. And I look at, you can see all this information online of when he started his campaign. And he started it on October 19th, 2001. October 19th is my birthday. I felt like in that moment, like, okay, God, like I hear.
Direct alignment.
And I throughout this whole process, it's scary. I'm going against the machine. I'm going against people that are rich, that have millions of dollars. And I still feel confident every day, regardless of what people say, like, hey, you should run for state or you should do something more local. No, the goal is to run for something big, something that's going to get a spotlight for people like me and you to start to really aim for those, because we should be in those positions and we should know what's going on. We should inspire to do more things like this. No more of letting the same happen. We should actually, I don't know, be involved and actually believe in something, because a lot of times people are pessimists.
Yeah.
Very big. Oh, it's
but
like
we're
that.
In a community. We're in a community now with social media and everything where that is easy to happen. You may see someone doing what you want to do and may feel automatically, shut down or just, I can't do that, or intimidated. I don't know. I think the society that we are in right now, it's hard to not find a community where that's welcomed.
And that's the thing. You have to get over that. There's going to be haters regardless. When you're winning, people are going to come, but we need to start to work together and encourage one another. Hey, you guys want to be a big social media influencer? That's great. I'm going to tell you now, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some struggles. It's going to take a lot of, I would say, learning and things like that. But I'm a big pusher for, you're not going to outwork me.
Yeah.
And what that means is, hey, I'm going to do more studying. I'm going to learn what the trends are. I'm going to know what type of video I should use and things like that. Oh, microphones. Okay, let me upgrade it.
Yeah.
And when you start to do that, you start to separate yourself from the competition. And what that means is, oh, my views are going up. I'm getting more subscribers or followers and things like that.
Yeah.
Put the work in. It's going to pay off. It sounds crazy, but even with me, I wake up at 3 a.m. I look at a lot of things from the social media. It's the marketing, politics, Congress. I'm not fully versed in this, but I can tell you I'm learning every day. I'm picking up something and I'm improving.
You have to. I feel no man knows everything. And I really stand by the saying is, if you are not learning, you're not growing.
And that's the key.
Yeah.
Throw yourself in and learn something new. Even if you're the best, there's people like me coming to the top trying to dethrone you because you're not learning, because you feel like you know everything.
Yeah.
No one knows everything.
Yeah. Yeah. What advice would you give to someone who feels called to step up, but is scared of the spotlight or criticism?
You're always going to be criticized. When it feels the most scariest, that's when you need to jump. And
I think you need to, there's something in acting called a beat. I think you need to give that a beat, because that was a very strong saying right there.
I really understand that people always feel the criticism of what people are going to say and things like that. But does this something that resonates in you and you have a real deep passion about it? You need to speak on it. You need to do it, regardless if it's acting, it's running for politics, playing basketball. If you want to be the best scientist, if you want to be the best, I'd say, teacher and things like that, put yourself out there. Push yourself, because that's when you really live life. When if you go day by day and things like that, that's great. But when you feel really alive is when your heart's beating, because you're about to say something that's really needs to be said and you want people to know about it. Do it.
Is that how you feel?
Yeah, every day. I mean, to be honest, I've been in so many meetings now, but talking to people and I give them my little spill and things like that, my heart always races. And I feel embarrassed, because it's like, it feels not, I wouldn't say embarrassed, but it feels like the first time you hold a girl's hand. You're like nervous, like, oh, let me hold her hand. And you're like, is she going to say yes or is she going to say no? And I love it, because it makes me feel alive. It makes me feel like I'm doing something that's pushing me outside my bubble. Because prior to this, I mean, I can talk on days and I can do crazy things on social media, but I guess talking to people about why they should vote for me or just in general, why they should do more in their community, it gives me a sense of purpose. It makes me feel like I'm helping the next generation or helping people change their community. And that's the goal.
That's passion.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. A lot of our listeners are chasing big dreams, just like yourself. Some in business, some in the arts, and some in their personal lives. From your experience so far, Johnathan, what's one leadership lesson you'd pass on to anyone pursuing a purpose bigger than themselves?
Always think about the next person and really, how would you say, studying from the person above you. Learn everything they do and what they're really good at, and learn everything they're really bad at. And then bring that into your bubble, learn those skills, and pass it along. I'm a big pusher for passing, I wouldn't say the torch, but passing knowledge around and things like that. We're at that point in politics, I've realized a lot of people are very standoffish because why? Oh, this person might take my job. No, it's not that. I want to know because I'm curious. I want to help. What can I do? But I'm a big pusher for, hey, what do you want to know? What can I do to help you?
Yeah.
Regardless if it's coming from my job or if it's something like that, I want to help you get to another place in your life where you feel accomplished and pushing. So yeah, I'm all for competition. I'm all for helping people in just whatever way. So yeah.
One of the things that I believe makes a very good leader is by their ability to teach those that report to them or those that they lead. And I think it's so ironic that you mentioned a lot of people feel like someone is coming for their job. You know, it's in this day and age, I think it's rare to find someone to mentor you into developing skill sets that could surpass that mentor's, position in life right now. It's very important to have someone who knows more, because how else are you going to confidently follow those dreams and know that you're making the right steps and the right choices to feed into that dream?
And that's just pushing you out to a bigger bubble. Whenever I'm a big believer with your friend group, you should have people that are motivating doing multiple things. I have one of my good friends, best friends. He's pursuing a career in comedy. And he's like, man, I don't know, but I love it. And I'm like, hey, you have more charisma. You have more speaking, or I don't want to say speak, but more, just say charisma, to go up on a stage, tell these jokes and things like that. And I push him saying, hey, when's your next set? I don't want him to take a step back. If you're going to do something, dive in. Don't just put your toe in, dive in.
And ask for forgiveness later.
Exactly. And you should be that. And even with friend groups that are at stagnant, I would say really, really try to put yourself out there and meet more people, meet new people. And those are the people that usually kind of inspire you to do more and be more. Not saying forget about your old friends, but
no.
You need a big community if you want to do something big. And I promise you, your friends are probably not the most insightful people to really help you get to where you want.
Yeah.
But they can help support and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell all my friends. Like, hey, they're like, congrats, you're running for Congress. What can I do?
Yeah.
Support, spread the news, tell people about me. Because I know you can't give me advice on like, hey, you should run for Congress and do this and that. No.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Support comes in different ways.
Yeah.
Right. And I think one of the most important things to have in said community is positive support. We just spoke about people that are pessimistic. I don't want pessimism in my friend group, because there can be days, someone like myself and yourself, I prefer to go after the biggest dream that I have. Okay. And I'll work my way down to the small one, but I start big, just like yourself. And there are going to be days that are hard. There are going to be days that are heavy. And I do not want someone to remind me of why I should not have started this.
Yeah.
Who's in your community, Johnathan?
My mother and my sister, to be honest. Of course, my father and son were a really big, like, I want to help their lives. I want the future to be good for them. But when I told my sister and mom, like, hey, I think I might run for Congress, it wasn't, no, Johnathan, you can't do that. It was, do it. Do it. My sister, it was funny. My sister looked at me one day and I just saw a guy running for Congress over in Texas, and he's young, a black man. You should do it, Jonathan. You should do it. And then I was like, I need to do it. Like, they were the one pushing me, because before I was so hesitant, like, I don't know, I don't want to do this. But they were the ones that really support me, and they're like, I'm proud of you. What can I do? And things like that. And they have been the biggest helpers in my life since starting this. Hey, I'll watch dad, and right now while you go do this and that, and hey, you got to go travel. Okay, go. Hey, I'll watch them, or I'll do this. Hey, you need to clean the house for the announcement party. Yeah, I'll do that. And they deep clean and things like that. And just a bunch of other things that help me mentally that go so much further. And those are
which is the most important.
Exactly. Those are my support systems. And I lean on them heavy, just from videos and things like that. Like, hey, I need this video. I think the other day I had a video that is viral on TikTok, and it was funny because I told my sister, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, nothing. I'm doing my hair. I said, hey, I need you to film this video, blah, blah, blah. She was like, okay. Because she understood it was for the campaign and things like that. And she did it. She loved it. And she's like, I think it's going to do good. And then it just went viral like that. And those are the moments where people ask, how do you do this?
Yeah.
Because of them.
Yeah.
And small things.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of the campaign, beautiful website, by the way.
Thank you.
And I want you to speak to a little bit of what I see on the website. And I call this a verbal call to action. So obviously at the very bottom, there is something that you and anyone listening can do to support Johnathan. Tell us about your website and what's on there.
It's what I believe. It's what I stand on. I'm a man of receipts.
Yeah.
I keep receipts. You guys should keep receipts. What I say on that website is what I believe and what I'm going to do as a congressman. I don't want to be that politician that switches up once they get there. It's the same person you see. So Johnathan, you see here now at this podcast, it's the same Johnathan you're going to see 10 years down the road. Might be a little more older, a little wiser, a little more gray hairs. But with that being said, it's going to be that same person that understands who I am and what I stand on. So you got to stand on business, right? Like you got to.
Definitely.
The website's great. It's beautiful. It gives you a more broader base, but even with my district from Clayton County, Henry County, DeKalb, Gwinnett, Rockdale, and Newton, those are implementations on it where it shows what I'm going to do for your county, not just hey, I'm going to tax the rich, or hey, I'm going to stock trading. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do for you and how I'm going to help you. And of course, with that, there might be things added to that website because I talk to more and more people on the daily in those counties and communities and see what's happening. I want to fix their problems. I want them happy. I want them to say, hey, Johnathan, you're doing such a good job. I don't even have to bother you anymore. So, but it's an uphill battle. There's a lot of things. And then even putting people in those positions of local government so they can do a change in their lives and things like that. There's a lot of great people out there. There's a lot of young, great people. And no offense to older people. I have no offense to that. But I've realized the younger generation feels less included because, hey, that person's 50, 60. They don't know about my struggles. They don't know about this. Hey, they're about to retire.
And some are not in tune with current times. And I think one of the things that makes me support you and your mission is that, Johnathan, you're a new wave. You are a new voice of this political era.
And that's the thing. I'm a new wave. I do see a lot of people I look up to, like Bernie Sanders, AOC. Those are major people that I look and see great inspiration. AOC was a bartender. She went against the number 3 Democrat of the Congress at that time. And she won. Coming as a bartender, no political experience, just active in our community. When people hear incumbent, he's 79, he's been there for 20 plus years, you're not going to beat him. I hear her story and it gives me motivation, of course, led by God still. But in my eyes, I feel like I'm going against Goliath, but I feel like I can do this. I can go against anyone and show them what I really can do. And I'm action. I'm all about the action, to be honest. I think a lot of politicians talk. I'm about that action. So, and I'm going to call BS when it's BS. I'm going to call I'm not going to use choice words, but yeah, but you have to be a person of action to actually make people feel like he's going to do what he says.
Yeah.
Because if I can talk for days and give you word vomit for days and you're going to get tired of it, I want action. I tell people at these Democratic meetings and other meetings, action. We're about action, not, oh, we'll do it next time. No, what are we doing next? What are we doing tomorrow? What are we doing next week?
Right.
Hey, what bill are we pushing? Why isn't this happening? And if someone's not doing what they're supposed to, call them out. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of these congressmen and stuff like that aren't in our communities. When's the last time you've seen David Scott? People don't see it, but he's making these decisions for us. I would respect the man. I still respect him, but I would respect congressmen that are active in their community, not when election time is. But we haven't seen them in many, many years. And that's even other politicians. Don't come out when election time is. Come out when it's actual, no election, helping me, help you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow, Johnathan. I just keep calling your name right now because I just feel like the minute I say his name, I feel greatness follows. Okay. And that is just my inspiration to you from hearing your mission, seeing your mission. And I really cannot wait to see where this journey takes you. Obviously, Let's Just Talk podcast is in full support of your campaign.
Thank you. Thank you.
What can listeners do to assist, to support, and just be a part of this journey?
I always tell people, if you can donate, I'm not asking for $100. $10 does so much. So that means ads and things like that, and paying my campaign manager and advisors and things like that. Because I'm going to be honest with you guys, those people are the ones that keep me aligned with meeting people as well as ads and spreading the news of me. And those are the people I want to pay because they're doing this at the generosity of their heart, and they believe in the mission too. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm trying to pay them millions of dollars, but they put many, many hours into this campaign. I'm still meeting a lot of people, campaigns still forming and things like that. But the people are really helping me. That would mean a lot. But if you could donate, but if you can't donate, spread the news of me. All I ask is, hey, share me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, and spread the news like someone's coming to DC that cares about you. And that's my big push. And yeah.
Wow. Johnathan, this has been a very informative episode. And I really hope that we hear a lot more about you.
You will.
I really hope this.
We'll be talking in the next few months, and you're like, yeah, this is crazy. You're way too big and stuff like that.
Exactly. But, can you tell me just what's next for the campaign? Any important dates that you'd like for us to show up with picket signs or?
I mean, to be honest, I'm going to have like a town hall, probably have a meet and greet, talk to people. It'll probably be in Gwinnett, Clayton. I don't know. I still don't know yet, but that will be probably in the next month. And just speaking with the people, I want to hear what they're seeing and what they're feeling and what I can do for them. And I want to educate people and see, hey, what's going on in your community? Okay, do you know who's overseeing that? No, I can tell you who it is. When their election is, you should run for that. It only takes like I would say $100, $250. And most of the time, once you hear that, you're like, oh, that's not bad. I'm thinking it takes millions of dollars. No.
Yeah.
And these are the people that affect your traffic. Oh, you guys approved this congestion and not expanding the highways or putting a bridge over there to make it a lot easier. Or, hey, why is my taxpayer dollars funding pretty much a garbage company that doesn't do anything, that doesn't help me? What else do they do? You want a certain type of buildings and jobs that are over there. So that means you want more restaurants, or do you want more corporations like an Amazon to be put over there? I know Clayton County, I believe it was Clayton County, someone tried to push for a crematorium. And I'm going to be honest, a crematorium is where people get burned after they die. They don't want that in your neighborhood. But imagine if you didn't have someone on the board or as a commissioner to stop, because that was going to happen. The money was there and things like that. You need to be in your community in a way where you can make a decision like that. You can say, hey, I'm tired of putting money towards police and sheriffs and things like that. And let's push it towards, hey, more events for our community and things like that. Because there's no violence. So why are they getting millions and millions of dollars? I'm not saying defund the police. Never say that. I am saying know what's going on, know where your money's going. And that's all I ask. And if you have a problem with it, do something about it.
Wow. I can talk to this man all day because there are things that I have not known that you just shared with me. And I'm not ashamed to say that at 34 years old, there are still some things I need to be educated on as it pertains to politics, local, international. Just, it does not matter. Never be afraid to just learn more. I'm going to link Johnathan's website so that you can learn more about his mission and goal. And I want to lighten things up right now, though, Johnathan. Okay. So I'm going to, not to say the conversation was heavy.
No.
Anything that is informative, I call heavy, by the way.
Okay.
It means that it's heavy and purposeful information.
Okay.
I call this a quick lightning round.
Ooh, okay.
And I told you I was not going to tell you the questions until we got to that point. You have 3 seconds. You have 3 seconds to answer these questions because these are things that I am certain have already been embedded into your thought process your entire life. So I know there's answers.
I watch a lot of Family Feud, so
Okay.
I've been ready for this my whole life.
So you can't take more than 3 seconds.
Okay.
Because if you do, that means you're thinking on it too hard. And I don't want an honest answer.
I got you. You.
If you could have dinner with one historical leader, and I do mean living or historical, who would it be?
Do they have to be political?
No.
Oh, Kobe Bryant.
Oh, why?
Kobe Bryant is someone I look up to this day. His mindset, his mentality, you could take it anywhere and do amazing things. And my whole life, I'm a Kobe fan. That's my GOAT, not Jordan or LeBron. They're great people, but Kobe is the one that really pushed me to do something different. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that would be my person. Mamba forever. Yes. Okay, so one song that gets you fired up either before a campaign or just to get your day started. As a Atlanta native, a Georgia native, of course, we all know Crime Mob, Knuck If You Buck. You hear that, you just want to fight something. I wake my son up to it at times, and he's like, "Oh, Dad, stop!" Ah! My dad might be a little, but he's more Al Green, Otis Redding type of person. Oh, that's me. Oh, that's actually me. Otis Redding, a little Sam Cooke. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sam Cooke. No, Sam Cooke. It is Sam Cooke. Yeah. Etta James. Okay, good. Oh, my goodness. Percy Sledge. You got some taste. Okay. I like it. All righty. Last but not least, favorite way to decompress after a long day of campaigning? Oh, I work out. That is a big thing. I'm going to be honest with you. Since being on this campaign, I haven't been able to work out. What? How does that make you feel? Makes me a little crazy. I have everyone knows me as workout guy. Hey, you lift a lot of weights. And even at work and my job, they're like, "What's wrong? You must lift weights." I'm like, yeah, it keeps me calm. It keeps me okay. Level-headed to make good choices for us. Exactly. Once he's elected. If there's one thing you want people to remember about your journey or your message, what would it be? Stand for something. I don't know. That's the message? I don't know. That's a big message. That's what I'm asking. Yeah, that's a big message. But I feel like I could have did something more. I don't know. I think that was big, though. Yeah, it was? It was. Okay. Stand for something. Seriously. If you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for anything. Exactly. So a huge thank you to Johnathan Bonner for joining me today on Let's Just Talk. His story reminds us that purpose is bigger than comfort. Bring that back. His story reminds us that purpose is bigger than comfort. It's about impact. It's about being purposeful and intentional on whatever journey you decide to take. Whether you're an artist, an entrepreneur, a leader, or simply someone who wants to make a difference, remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to move toward it, like Johnathan said. If today's episode inspired you, make sure to share it with someone who's on the edge of their next big leap. And don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay tuned for more conversations with dreamers, doers, and believers just like Johnathan. Until next time, keep believing, keep doing, and let's just keep talking.